If you are an entrepreneur or business owner who wants to write a book, I bet you have said this phrase, I just don't have enough time. You probably don't, right? Because writing a book takes a really long time, and when you're running a business, your hands are basically full already. That's why I wanted to bring you this video to talk about how you can write a book that will grow your business without maxing out your bandwidth and capacity. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about the book that will grow your business. If you set a New Year's resolution to write your book in 2024, I have an amazing offer for you. Page and Podium will be raising our prices by 20% starting April 1st, 2024. But in the meantime, every new client who signs their contract and pays their deposit will be grandfathered in at the 2023 rates. That is a 20% discount from our rates moving forward. You do not want to miss this. Head over to pageandpodium.com/contact to fill out your application now. I confess, the title of this video is a little bit of a misnomer. I think most of y'all probably know that a book could grow your business. We talk about this all the time on our videos and our social media. When you have a book, you are more authoritative, you are more credible, you have an audience of readers who know, like, and trust you because they have read either your story or your ideas or some combination. And you have an actual physical tool that you can use to get the word out about your business. I've talked about this before, things like taking that book, putting a sticky note in a section that might be particularly relevant to some potential client, and just mailing that book to their door. Who doesn't love a surprise package? And then they've got a book that is going to have your name on the front, maybe your picture, and all of the amazing value that you share with your clients. They can get a whole taste of that. And they will not throw it away. Unlike flyers and business cards, people keep books. So you know that you have got a way to get new clients. You have got a way to book more speaking gigs. You have got a way to do outreach that feels so incredibly valuable to your prospects. We know a book can grow your business. But the reason I find so many people hold off from the book that would really take them to the next level in their business goals is they just don't know how to accomplish it. There are so many moving parts, so many logistics to figuring things out. And a lot of times we get just kind of sidetracked and we tell ourselves that we don't have time, or we tell ourselves that we don't know how, or we tell ourselves we'll start next year. Sound familiar? Well, if that is the case, I want to introduce you to an idea that you may or may not have thought of, but that I promise is the absolute best way for business owners to use a book to grow their business as quickly as possible. And that solution is ghostwriting. So first of all, let's talk about what ghostwriting is, because I find that there are a lot of misconceptions out there about what ghostwriters do. So when you work with a ghostwriter, you will sit with that ghostwriter and you will share your story. If you're somebody that has done a lot of writing on your own, either maybe you have a draft you've been picking at, or maybe you have written a lot of blogs, maybe you're a podcaster or a YouTuber, you've got that content, you can always share that with your ghostwriter. But any quality ghostwriter is also going to want to get to know you, to hear your voice, to make sure that your general personality and vibe can be captured in that book. Remember, the goal that we're trying to hit is to make sure that people read that book and feel like they know you. Now, if you have tried to do this on your own, you may have found that this is deceptively difficult. It seems like if you're writing it, it should sound like you, right? I actually find that many first-time authors end up sounding pretty dry and kind of like it's an English class. Whereas professional ghostwriters have been at this for a long time. We are all trained to match our clients' voices. And in fact, at Page and Podium, we have a whole section of testimonials on our website that are just people saying, OMG, I cannot believe how well you captured my voice. So if you're concerned that your voice is going to get lost, let me assure you, it's actually much more likely that your voice will get lost when you try to write the book yourself. After you have sat with your ghostwriter, gone through all of the material you want to share, been questioned and interviewed and gotten your story out to that ghostwriter, they will work on your manuscript. Here at Page and Podium, we go chapter by chapter. We are always sharing chapters with you. We are always getting feedback. So there's no chance of, that ghostwriter goes off on a tangent and, oh my gosh, you end up with a book you hate. Zero chance. Our process 100% eliminates that because you are constantly feeding back into the book. Once the chapters are all drafted, then we take it over to our polishing stage. That is going to be a professional cold eye copy editor, meaning someone who is a professional copy editor, but who has not ever seen your book, does not know about your topic, does not know you. So they can bring an outsider perspective, make sure that everything reads really well, and catch any minor errors, catch any incontinuities, that kind of thing. It'll be proofread then. And then at Page and Podium, we will help you either get a book deal, or if you want to self-publish, we can help you with that. Or we are also a hybrid press, so we also can work with you to get that book out at the quality that I know you want for your business. So that's what ghostwriting is in a nutshell. It is not plagiarism. It is absolutely not cheating. And it is just generally the best way to move your business forward as quickly as possible. So if you have any questions about that, we have a lot of content about ghostwriting on our website, pageandpodium.com, as well as across our YouTube channel. Check that out and you can get a little bit better sense of what we do. But what I want to do today is I want to talk about how a ghostwriter is actually going to save you money while allowing you to capitalize on the value of that book much, much more quickly. So when we talk about the time and the energy it takes to write that book, we're going to save you most of that. And when we talk about getting that book out there so that it can bring you consistent profits, either passively and or actively, we want to get started on that right away. If you could be bringing in hundreds to thousands of dollars every single month, who would not want that for their business? And with a book, I promise you, you can. So let me break down some of the reasons that this is the best way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward at an effective price point and very efficiently. First of all, working with a ghostwriter is going to save you time. Now, I know this sounds obvious, and that's why I want to back this up with some statistics. So my team of professional writers, and I am myself a writer as well, we have written so many books. We're very, very experienced. Think about something that you are super experienced in, and then think about something that you're not. Which one takes you longer? Probably the thing that's new, right? And it's not going to be as good a quality. Well, when you are working with a professional ghostwriter, you are offloading this task that you don't know how to do onto someone who has tons of experience doing that thing. And even though we know how to do that thing, it still takes a long time. So let's break down some of the numbers. For the average book that we would publish here, we are thinking about 20 chapters or so. Those are usually 10 to 15 pages each, sometimes shorter depending on the style, sometimes a little longer depending on the style. But if we think 20 chapters, let me tell you that at Page and Podium, we allocate for our staff 5 hours per chapter for just the writing, plus an additional 2 hours per chapter for the developmental editing. Developmental editing is not, by the way, polishing. Developmental editing is idea-based, it's structure-based. This is the rough kind of thing before we ever even get to those professional editors I mentioned earlier. So when we start to add that up, 7 hours per chapter for 20 hours, we spend 140 hours just drafting. So what is your rate of pay? Do you charge $100 an hour, $200, $300 an hour? You can do the math. What is it costing you to put aside that amount of time to write your book? It's kind of a big number, right? And also, keep in mind that number one, even if you are a very good writer, you are going to have some stumbling blocks, so it probably will take you a little bit longer. And number two, it's just you. So you're still going to need to get some feedback and do some revisions, right? We do that. The same person does not do the developmental editing as the drafting because we need separate sets of eyes all the time. So that is just the drafting part. When we move into the copy editing, when we move into the proofreading, not to mention our interior layout, our exterior cover design, etc., 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 we start really adding up a lot of time here. Often at Page and Podium, we are topping out 200 hours per client between our whole entire staff. And that is not going to include any contractors that we bring in for specialty needs for that book. So think about not only that amount of time, but additionally, you are going to have to bring in at least a beta reader, which those are sometimes free, but not always. And you are going to need to hire a copy editor. You're going to need to hire a proofreader and someone to do all the design. So once you factor in the time investment as well as the contractor investment that you are going to have to make to move this book forward, it is very easy to see that getting a return on that investment is going to be much, much easier if you invest into a ghostwriter rather than just trying to do something yourself that you're not very experienced at, that you may or may not feel particularly confident about. The second reason that working with a ghostwriter is the best way to move your business forward with a book is that you are getting so many sets of eyes on your business's message. And here I want to pull in a really well-known memoir that if you have not read it, go get it immediately. I hear this talked about in all kinds of entrepreneurial circles, and it is an amazing book. That is Howard Schultz's Onward. Now, if you don't know who Howard Schultz is, he is not the founder of Starbucks, but he was, as you'll read in the memoir, he went through this whole pathway to get to the top of Starbucks, including stepping down from a C-suite role onto the board and then coming back as CEO. The book is so, so good. There are so many amazing nuggets to pull from it. My favorite part, there is this part where he goes into a Starbucks and it smells like cheese because Starbucks serves breakfast sandwiches, right? Sandwiches and wraps, they're tasty. Howard Schultz is a person that really values kind of this Italian cafe version of a coffee house. So when he smelled that burnt American cheese, he lost his mind. He was so obsessed with that smell of cheese that, as he says in the book, he really stopped thinking rationally. What an amazing business lesson that is. We get so hung up on these little pieces of our business that really don't matter. But I digress. The thing I wanted to share about Howard Schultz's memoir is that it is called Onward, and onward is a regular theme that he uses throughout the book. Now, the word onward, as you read in the memoir, comes from his sign-off on one of those very early memos that he sent out to his entire staff. And what he meant when he used that word onward was that they were going to fight against adversity, that they were going to pull through, that they were going to work so hard, but that it was going to be great in the end. And onward, that is a word that has stuck with me since I read that book. Here's my point. When you have a business that is really recognizable, something like Starbucks, it is usually because your branding is so dialed in. People know exactly who you are. They know exactly what you do. And now, thanks to this memoir with Howard Schultz, they know exactly why you do the things you do. In his case, it's because he values quality above all else. I would love to hear people say that about me, right? I bet you would too. People to know the reasons that you're making the decisions you are, even though they aren't on the inside of your business. So when you work with a ghostwriter, our literal job is to distill all of your ideas into one core theme. That's what Schultz's Ghostwriter did. That's what all ghostwriters do. It's what Page and Podium can do for you. So as you're thinking about, how am I boosting my brand? How am I up-leveling it? How am I refining it? One of the fastest ways to do this is to work with a ghostwriter. Now, on the other side of the coin, you could also get that from any number of things, right? You could join a mastermind. You could attend kind of your local business leader groups. You could hire a one-on-one coach for your business. All those things are great. I do them all. But when you work with a ghostwriter, you are not paying extra for that consulting. That is wrapped into the package deal because it's part of what we have to do to complete the book. So speaking of investments, we can add this honed in message to our list of amazing things you're getting from working with a ghostwriter. And when you're working with a ghostwriter on this type of thing, it not only makes your book better, it makes your business better. Okay, so working with a ghostwriter, it's getting other sets of eyes onto your business. You are going to get so much clarity on what you're trying to do, how you're trying to do it, and how you want to tell your audience about it. And the third reason that you want to work with a ghostwriter to boost your business through a book is the confidence and authority that you are going to start to have from the very first chapter. So I want to tell you a story. This is after the first chapter, but I think it illustrates the change that you will see once that book is out and people start reading it. When I published my very first book, I felt so imposter-y. It's the only way to say it. In fact, I literally said to my co-author, no one would care what I think. Why would I ever write this? No one's going to read it. I am just going to stick to my comfort zone. I'm going to share more on that in this series later on. But for now, let's say I fought through it. I found a way to get this book out to a traditional publisher. It was published. I continued, even though it had been accepted by a traditional publisher, even though the cover was swoon-worthy, even though I knew this was an excellent book, I continued to really doubt myself and wonder whether I had any business with a book until I went to the first conference after that book had come out. And let me tell you what happened. I walked into that conference really objectively a pretty low tier person in my field. The very, not exactly entry level, but pretty close to entry level. I walked in and a woman whose work I had admired for so long came up to me, shook my hand, and said, "Congratulations on an amazing book." Do you hear me tearing up here? First of all, I didn't know what to say. I don't even remember what I said. I think I blacked out. But it shook me to my core. And the entire rest of the weekend at that conference, I had so many experiences like that. I had someone come up and ask if they could review it for a journal, which of course. Actually, you don't even need the author's approval, but I certainly, appreciated that. I went to there was a place where my publisher was selling my book. I went over there. They had sold out. What kind of confidence is that going to give you when you went over to see if you could sign copies or just, kind of say hello, thank people for buying, and there are no more copies. They had all been purchased. My point here is that the level of confidence, the level of authority, the level of credibility is not just about people seeing published author under your name. That level of confidence and authority and credibility is also about how you feel inside. And if you're an entrepreneur, I know you know that. I know you know that. We all show up so much more powerfully when we feel ourselves, when we know that we have communicated so clearly, so beautifully, and in a way that is really reaching the people we want to reach, right? You can do that on your own, writing your book on your own. You can. But what I will tell you I see happen so often is because of the time it takes to get that book, my first point, because of the need for that second set of eyes specifically on your messaging. When entrepreneurs try to write their first book on their own without any support, what almost always happens is it ends up being a dry recitation of all of the ideas they have shared on social media before. There is no through line. There's nothing to really engage the reader. And as I said earlier, sometimes it doesn't even sound like you. We have not been trained in our, bless English teachers. My partner is an English teacher, but we are not trained in school to write in a way that feels conversational and relatable. We just aren't. We are trained in school to write in a way that feels academic. You don't want an academic book. You want a voice that feels like you. And when you have that, people will come up to you as though they know you personally. It will change your life. It will change your life. Okay, so these are the reasons that I firmly believe that every entrepreneur needs a ghostwriter they trust. If you feel like that might be me or my team, I hope you'll reach out. You can head over to pageandpodium.com/contact to fill out an application. On the website, you'll also see more information about our 2 tiers of ghostwriting. The first, called the Change Maker, that's a smaller package that's meant if you just want to dip your toe into the water. Also, if you want a little bit more control, that's going to put you in much more control with the writing process. And we also have our signature package that's called the Thought Leader package. That is the full shebang. It's going to be the package you want if you're hoping to get a book deal from a traditional publisher. So head over there, check out the packages, and please reach out. Let me know if there's anything I can do to help you decide whether a ghostwriter is right for you. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you will like and subscribe, and very happy writing. Your book deserves the New York treatment. From writing support to editing to design, layout, publication, and marketing and promotion, Page and Podium has always been dedicated to bringing you the best-in-class support staff to make sure that your book reaches all of the amazing heights you know it can. In 2024, to deliver that level of amazing service, we are raising our prices. But you still have time to lock in your book at the 2023 prices if you act now. From now until the end of March 2024, any new client who signs their contract and pays their deposit will be grandfathered in at our 2023 rates, 20% lower than what we'll be moving to in 2024. You gotta act now. Head over to pageandpodium.com/contact to fill out your application. I'd be so excited to talk with you about your book and get you on the path to publishing that New York bestseller.